All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the secret of the golden flower.
Really fascinating stuff.
It is, yeah. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on the idea of returning the light as described by Lu Dongbin.
Right, and I think people might know this text by a few different names, but...
Yeah, there are a few translations floating around, but we're sticking with the secret of the golden flower for clarity.
Sounds good.
Now, this text is all about achieving enlightenment, but not in the way you might typically think.
Yeah, this is about internal alchemy.
Exactly. It's a sort of inner transformation using specific practices.
Like a spiritual metamorphosis.
That's a great way to put it. And we've got the book, we've got our notes.
All prepped.
We're ready, and we're zeroing in on Chapter 6. That's where Lu Dongbin gets into the nitty-gritty of the signs, the actual experiences you might have on this path.
He calls them signs of validation, right?
Yeah, like checkpoints on your journey to enlightenment, or at least how he sees it.
And just to be clear, we're here to explore these signs, not to create a how-to guide.
Exactly. But, I mean, come on, who isn't intrigued by the idea of these signs?
It's pretty fascinating, yeah.
Imagine, like, feeling this shift within you, a validation that you're on the right track spiritually.
Like an internal compass.
Totally. So that's what we're unpacking. Now, Lu Dongbin doesn't mess around, right?
Yeah.
He's very clear that this is a serious undertaking.
Oh, absolutely. He stresses unwavering dedication, commitment.
But also, this is interesting, he talks a lot about the need for deep compassion.
Not just for yourself either, for all beings.
It's not just a personal enlightenment thing, it's this bigger, like, interconnectedness.
That's right. And he even cautions against carelessness, straying from the principles.
So no cutting corners.
Nope. This is the real deal.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, say you're meditating, you're deep in it, and suddenly there's this incredible sense of calm that washes over you.
A profound peacefulness.
Yeah, like a total ease, but amplified, you know? Like, I guess the closest thing I can think of is that blissful feeling after a hot bath, but like, times 10.
That's actually a great analogy, and that's one of those initial signs. Lu Dongbin says this signifies the emergence of yang energy.
So it's not just relaxation, there's something more energetic happening.
Exactly. It's this warming, activating force. And get this, it's associated with the very first appearance of the golden flower.
Wait, hold on. The golden flower. Okay, that sounds very symbolic.
It is. It's this central concept in internal alchemy, representing this blossoming of spiritual energy within. It's not a literal flower, obviously.
So it's a metaphor for what?
For transformation, this blossoming, this opening.
Okay, got it. So this feeling of deep calm, this golden flower emerging. What comes next on this roadmap?
He describes this profound silence descending.
Like an inner quiet.
More than that, he compares it to a full moon illuminating the world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Right. And it represents the opening of the heart-mind and the golden flower radiating its energy.
So the golden flower starts to really shine at this point.
Exactly.
And what happens as it grows? Are there other manifestations?
Oh, absolutely. You might notice your energy and vitality increase dramatically.
Like you just suddenly have more stamina.
Yes. Like things that would normally tire you out feel effortless.
Like you've tapped into a secret energy reserve.
You could say that. He uses the imagery of the body being fortified with gold and jade.
Again, very symbolic.
Right. It represents strengthening through true ki.
And ki being that vital life force energy, right?
Exactly. And true ki is its refined, pertinent form that you cultivate.
So this isn't just about feeling more energized. It's about like a deeper transformation of your actual energy system.
Right. He even talks about blood transforming into milk and the body becoming a vessel of golden treasures. It's all very symbolic, but it points to a profound shift.
Okay, so we've got these vivid descriptions of interchange. But how do we know if we're actually on the right track? You know, that's where the stages of validation come in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Think of them as milestones that confirm your progress. The first stage actually uses a lot of the same imagery found in the Buddhist Contemplation Sutra on infinite life.
Really? What kind of imagery?
Think of a setting sun, vast waters, and rows of trees.
Okay, I'm picturing it. But what do they symbolize in this context?
Well, the setting sun represents the ultimate void, or wuji. It's that primordial chaos before creation.
The void.
Right. And the vast waters, they represent purity. There's that Taoist principle, the highest good is like water.
It's all coming together.
Right. And this stage marks the transition from that void, that wuji, into taiji, the supreme ultimate.
So from formlessness to form, from chaos to order.
Exactly. And it's interesting how Lu Dongbin connects this to the I Ching, too.
Really? How so?
Well, there's the phrase, the emperor emerges in the east, which links to that Eastern trigram Zen representing thunder and new beginnings.
So new beginnings, just like those rows of trees, the senses awakening, like you said.
Exactly. Layers upon layers of meaning.
And this is just the first checkpoint, right?
Oh, we're just getting started. The second stage gets even more intense.
Even more.
Oh, yeah. Picture the earth turning to ice and snow, then crystallizing as your inner light becomes more and more concentrated.
Wow.
And then pavilions and terraces start appearing, and finally, Buddhas.
Hold on, actual Buddhas.
It's symbolic, of course. It's about the manifestation of this golden essence, which Lu Dongbin likens to a Buddha, a great awakened golden immortal.
Ah, okay. So these visions are like markers on the path, showing you're tapping into this incredible energy within.
Exactly. But while those stages can be a bit abstract,
Definitely.
Lu Dongbin also describes some very tangible signs.
Okay, let's get down to earth a bit.
All right. There are 3 common ones he talks about.
Okay, lay 'em on me.
Echo-like hearing, the white room, and a floating sensation.
Okay, they go like hearing. I'm intrigued.
So imagine you're completely still, right? And then all of a sudden, external sounds seem incredibly far away, yet crystal clear.
Like an echo in a valley or something.
Precisely.
That's wild, like hyper-aware and yet detached at the same time.
Exactly. He even talks about this valley-like state of the spirit, something that can just happen spontaneously.
Okay, that one's going on my list of signs to watch out for. What about the white room? It sounds kind of clinical.
Not at all. Picture your vision expanding during meditation and filling with this brilliant white light. Like being surrounded by clouds, even with your eyes open. You might even lose your sense of your own body.
Intense. And what does that signify?
He associates it with profound stillness and clarity, both internal and external merging together.
Okay, that one's moved to the top of my list. What about the floating sensation? Does it literally involve floating?
Well, imagine your body getting incredibly warm, soft, almost weightless.
Like you're about to lift off.
Exactly. He says it's like the spirit returning to the heavenly apex, the crown of your head.
Whoa.
And he even suggests that over time, this could lead to actual levitation. Now, of course, these are just 3 common signs. He says there are countless others that might manifest, totally unique to each person.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all enlightenment thing.
Not at all. He quotes the treatise on cessation and contemplation to illustrate this point. He says, the arising of good roots is like drinking water. Only the one drinking knows whether it is cold or warm.
I love that. Trust your own experience. So all of these signs, all of these experiences, they're leading to something even bigger, right? We were talking about primordial energy before.
Yeah. All these signs point towards the discovery of Jiantian Yiki, the source of all creation.
Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff.
And once you connect with that, you can begin to refine the elixir, or Dan.
The elixir. Now, that's something I've always been curious about. Is it like some magical potion you drink?
Not exactly. Think of it more as a spiritual essence. It's cultivated through practice.
It's not something you just find lying around.
Right. Lu Dongbin actually describes it as a single genuine pearl.
A pearl?
Yeah. He even references this text called 400 Words on the Golden Elixir to explain how it evolves from something subtle to something substantial.
So it's not an instant thing, it's a process.
Exactly. And there are stages to this primordial energy, too. He talks about an initial stage of 1 grain, and then it evolves to an infinite stage of, like, countless grains.
So from 1 to infinity. It's like unlocking this, like, boundless potential within yourself.
You got it. But remember, this isn't about seeking supernatural powers.
Right.
It's about aligning with the Tao.
The natural flow of the universe.
Exactly.
So it's less about magic and more about understanding these natural forces within us and working with them.
That's a great way to put it. And Lu Dongbin really emphasizes that the most crucial thing on this path is unwavering determination, commitment.
So you can't just dabble in it. It's a lifelong journey of self-cultivation.
That's right. You know, it's interesting how Lu Dongbin brings in Buddhist ideas when he's talking about these signs, these experiences. It's not just a purely Taoist thing.
Right. It's like he's creating this richer picture by pulling from different traditions. It kind of suggests that maybe they're all pointing to a similar truth, just in different ways.
Exactly. The secret of the golden flower almost becomes this bridge between different ways of understanding ourselves and the universe.
I like that, a bridge. And, you know, we've talked about these I guess you could say more esoteric signs, but Lu Dongbin also gives some very practical advice for people who want to cultivate this golden flower within.
Oh, absolutely. He talks a lot about the importance of stillness, both for the body and the mind.
He calls it returning to stillness, which almost suggests that it's our natural state, Like it's not something we have to force, but rather something we've moved away from.
That's a great point. It reminds me of the concept of wu wei.
The Taoist principle of effortless action.
Exactly. It's about aligning with the flow of the Tao rather than fighting against it.
So how do we cultivate this stillness? Is it just through meditation?
Meditation is definitely key, but he also talks about right conduct, living a moral life.
So it's not just about sitting on a cushion. It's about how we act in the world, how we live our lives in accordance with these Taoist principles.
Exactly. He talks about virtues like humility, compassion, generosity, creating that inner harmony as a foundation for spiritual growth.
It's like preparing the soil for the golden flower to blossom.
A perfect analogy. And on the flip side, he also cautions against things that hinder progress.
Like what?
Chasing after desires excessively, clinging to possessions, holding on to anger or resentment, all those things disrupt the inner harmony.
So it's as much about what we avoid as what we cultivate. This purification of thoughts, words, and actions.
Exactly. It's about inner and outer transformation, the whole package.
I really appreciate that he acknowledges the challenges of this path. He doesn't pretend it's easy.
Oh, definitely not. He's very honest about the fact that it requires real effort, dedication. You're going to stumble. You're going to get off track sometime.
But he also offers guidance for those times, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He reminds us that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
So it's about embracing the process, even the messy parts, and learning from those challenges.
Exactly. Patience and perseverance are key. He even says, the path to the Tao is long and arduous, but those who persevere will ultimately reach their goal.
Like climbing a mountain. You know there are going to be tough stretches, but the view from the top is worth the effort.
And you discover strengths you didn't even know you had along the way.
So we've talked about the signs, the importance of stillness and right conduct, the challenges. But what about the end goal? What does it actually mean to cultivate this golden flower?
That's the big question, isn't it? And Lu Dongbin answers it with this blend of beautiful imagery and philosophy.
He's not really giving us a simple, straightforward answer. It's more like he's inviting us to explore the mystery ourselves.
Right. But he does give us some clues. He talks about reaching a state of unity, wholeness, where the individual self merges with the cosmic Tao.
Like dissolving those boundaries between ourselves and the universe.
Exactly. Realizing that interconnectedness.
And in that state of unity, he says there's profound peace, joy, and liberation.
Like coming home to our true nature.
I love that. But it's not just about individual enlightenment, right? He also talks about the potential for collective transformation.
Absolutely. He envisions a world where all beings awaken to their true nature and live in harmony with each other and the Tao.
So it's like our personal transformation becomes a catalyst for a larger shift in consciousness.
Precisely. It's a beautiful vision of a world where suffering is eradicated and everyone is liberated.
It's a beautiful vision, but it's hard to really grasp,
It is. But he reminds us that even the smallest step we take on this path moves us in that direction.
So every act of kindness, every moment of stillness, every attempt to align ourselves with the Tao, it all contributes to that collective awakening.
Exactly. And he encourages us to never give up, no matter how difficult it gets. He says, the golden flower is within reach of all who seek it with sincerity and dedication.
That's a powerful message of hope.
It really is. A reminder that we all have the potential for enlightenment within us.
And that the journey to cultivate the golden flower, even though it can be challenging, it's ultimately about self-discovery, transformation, and freedom.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how much wisdom is packed into this relatively short text. It's like a treasure chest overflowing with insights and guidance.
It's definitely a book to be revisited again and again. Each time you read it, you find something new.
And it continues to resonate with people centuries later across cultures. It's like this timeless path to awakening.
It speaks to the power of these ancient traditions to guide us toward a more meaningful life.
And it reminds us that the journey to enlightenment, even though it can be tough at times, it's ultimately a journey of joy, discovery, and freedom.
I love that. So as we move forward in our exploration of the secret of the golden flower, let's keep these insights in mind and see how they can shed light on our own paths.
And remember, the golden flower isn't just a symbol. It's a powerful metaphor for the potential that we all have for transformation and awakening.
All right, so we're back. And we're still deep in the secret of the golden flower.
Still exploring.
And today, we're tackling one of the, I think, most mysterious and maybe even misunderstood aspects of this whole thing.
Yeah, the elixir.
The elixir, or Dan, right?
Lots of names for it.
It's mentioned so much in alchemical texts, but honestly, it's really hard to wrap your head around what it actually is.
Yeah, it can be pretty elusive.
Even with the book right here and your awesome notes. It's tricky.
Well, and remember, Lu Dongbin is using this very symbolic language.
Super symbolic.
So it's not always going to be a literal explanation.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this.
Yeah.
What exactly is this elixir, and why is it so important in internal alchemy?
At its core, it's about transformation.
Okay, transformation?
But not in a literal potion brewing sense.
Right, not like something you can just whip up in a lab.
No. It's more like this inner essence, something that you cultivate through practice. Think of it as a metaphor for the shifts that happen within you spiritually as you go through this process.
So it's more of a state of being than an actual physical thing.
That's it, yeah. Lu Dongbin talks about it as this inner alchemy, where you're using your mind and energy to, refine your very nature into something, purer, brighter.
I've heard that analogy before about turning lead into gold. But this is happening internally.
Exactly. And like gold, it represents something precious, valuable, lasting.
Okay, so how do we actually cultivate this elixir? What are the steps involved in this inner alchemy?
Lu Dongbin gets pretty detailed, but it basically comes down to cultivating stillness, regulating the breath, and learning to circulate energy throughout the body. It's all about turning your awareness inwards.
There's that phrase he uses, gathering the light and returning it to its source. It sounds so mystical.
Yeah, and it is in a way, but it's also a metaphor for directing your attention inward, developing this really deep inner awareness. It's about recognizing what's already there.
He also talks about the importance of harmonizing the yin and yang within us. And I think this is something that a lot of people might have heard of, but maybe don't fully understand.
Yeah, it's a foundational concept in Taoism. You can think of them as these complementary forces.
Like the feminine and masculine principles.
Right. Yin is more receptive, nurturing, while yang is active, dynamic. Internal alchemy is about creating balance between them, not pushing one over the other.
Creating a harmony between those two forces.
Exactly. And as you refine and purify these energies through practice, that's where the elixir starts to take shape.
Okay, so what does that feel like? What are some signs that the elixir is, forming within?
He actually describes a huge variety of experiences. Everything from subtle sensations of warmth and light to, full-on visions and powerful insights. Remember those signs we talked about before, that feeling of lightness or seeing white light?
Right. Are those hints that the elixir is starting to manifest?
Exactly. And as it matures, your whole perception might shift. He talks about experiencing unity with everything, feeling overwhelming love and compassion, and developing this profound understanding of reality.
So it's not about, getting superpowers or anything?
No, it's about recognizing your full potential as a human being and realizing you are part of something much bigger than yourself.
It's about aligning with that Tao.
Precisely.
And it sounds like it's not just a personal thing either. Lu Dongbin seems to suggest that it benefits others too, right?
Oh, absolutely. He really believed that as individuals awaken to their true nature, they become sources of healing and transformation in the world.
Like that ripple effect.
Exactly. Our inner shifts can inspire positive change around us.
So it's not about selfish gain at all. It's this path of service, not just to humanity, but to the universe itself.
Beautifully put. I think that's what makes the secret of the golden flower so powerful. It's this guide to unlocking our full potential and finding our true purpose.
It's so much more than just having these mystical experiences. It's about living a meaningful life and helping others.
It's a journey that's available to everyone, no matter who you are or what you believe. It's about recognizing that potential for transformation within each of us.
And as we've seen, it can lead to these amazing changes, both within ourselves and in the world.
So let's keep exploring these teachings, keep practicing, and see what happens.
This has been quite the deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the secret of the golden flower.
It's been a pleasure.
We've learned so much about the process of internal alchemy and the path to enlightenment, as Lu Dongbin describes it. And we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a different text. Until then, keep seeking, keep exploring, and may your own golden flower bloom brightly.